Hello and welcome to Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Here on Today in the News, we read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. This morning, I'm starting with Vanguard on the paper review. Vanguard is leading with Naira policy. Get saboteurs arrested, tried. Buhari tells CBN. Says Naira redesign has immensely minimized the influence of money politics. President Emefiele, Inspector General of Police, others meet in Aso Rock. Police halting APC reps lament, say each reps needs 70 million naira cash to execute election. Notes ATM stations now wrestling grounds. CBN governor meets bank executives, direct them to make 200 naira notes available. Buhari flouted a Supreme Court order that's coming from Gbajabiamila, Falano, CSOs, and you can see that on pages 4, 5, and 8 of Vanguard newspaper. And on page 9, PDP to APC leaders release all dead Naira notes. Polls reject candidates with questionable traits. Catholic bishop is saying that. And according to Owela Kemfa, it says we need to build peace in Palestine, a land where three great religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam meet. We need a new world in which all three are born free and equal. And Donu Kogbara says Obi is not a saint or a genius, but he walks a walk and talks a talk that inspires voters who are tired of more established candidates. You can see the stories on pages 16 and 17. And stories above on page 19, Naira redesign, cash crunch may worsen forex shortage. That's coming from Fitch. Polls, federal government goes after Simon Ekpa. 404,106 security personnel for polls that are calling for Inspector General of Police. Cashless policy, Benue traders result to trade by barter. You can see that on page 12. Suspected meningitis outbreak kills 38 in Jigawa. That can be seen on page 3. On page 9, 57.36% make credit in English maths as NECO releases 2022 results. Lastly, on Vanguard newspaper on sports, Champions League, Adeyemi attributes goal against Chelsea to Fufu. I think I need to say it in his language, to Fufu. And away from Vanguard newspaper, let's move to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian this morning is leading with Voices trail Buhari's broadcast on return of 200 naira notes. Buhari, new cash policy, legacy weapon against insecurity, corruption, and vote buying. 200 naira notes available for circulation, mere 222 billion naira. 2.65 trillion naira to be destroyed. Recirculation of 200 naira notes won't move the needle, Teriba insists. Gbajabiamila, Buhari's directive, a one-term disregard for rule of law. Ganduje alleges plot to scuttle election, install interim government. Broadcast contemptuous of Supreme Court order, Adegboruwa Ubani says. Compel APC leaders to release ordered naira notes, PDP tells Buhari. Banks lose 5 billion naira to asset in facility and 17 branches touched. Telcos distance themselves from failed financial transactions. Buhari's speech will have their consequences for 2023 poll. CDD warns. You can see the stories on pages 6 and 7. Countdown to 2023 elections. Navigating tension-soaked, violence-prone campaigns. You can see these stories on pages 4, 5, and 24. And the election countdown is saying just 8 days left. Stories above on page 27. CUPP identifies attackers of Ugochimre's residence. Naira swap. Don't postpone elections. Bow to pressure. CSOs warn INEC. You can see that on page 7. And lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, 3,980 arms, 2,358 ammunition mopped up, 404,106 personnel for deployment. You can see that story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And the Punch newspaper this morning is leading with better days aren't coming, despair, disappointment after Buhari's address. President illegalizes 1,000 naira, 500 naira, clash with Supreme Court likely. Governors state their Buhari other citizens to spend all notes. Naira scarcity worsens at banks, ATMs. Nigerians buy Naira with Naira. You can see that on page 2. And on page 13, We have photo stories showing the police as they hand over illegal arms and ammunition to NSA. Lagos, soldier killed by policeman buried. Nigeria's oil output rises by 31 million barrels. That's coming from OPEC. Stories above. Naira redesign plot to scuttle elections. Installed interim government. That's coming from El Rufai. It says, contrary to the public's pronouncement and apparent good intention, this policy was conceived to ensure that the 2023 elections do not hold at all, leading to an interim national government to be led by a retired army general. You can see that inside the Punch newspaper. And lastly, let's look at the nation. The nation this morning is leading with Buhari under attack for flouting Supreme Court ruling. Speaker El-Rufai, senior lawyers, others fought president's decision on 200 Naira old note as an affront. Inside, you also see a lockmaker says cash needed to pay agent on poll day. Emefiele reps meet president. Banks will make 200 Naira notes available. You can see this story on pages 4 and 11. Window of settlement between G5. Article closed, says Wike. You can see that on page 6. Ibadan stands still for Tinubu. One will vote equity, justice, Makinde tells APC candidates. And stories above. Survey projects Tinubu to win presidential poll. 19,365 respondents in 36 states. FCT involved. Lastly, on the Nation newspaper, we have My Husband Plans for Women, Youth by Senator Tinubu. You can see that story on page 25 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break for the analysis. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today in the News on Vanguard Live. I'm Damlola Okunshakin. And our correspondent will be joining us from Abuja, John Bosco Agbakuro. Hello, John Bosco.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I want you to give us more details. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to intensify collaboration with the anti-corruption agencies to check the activities of those bent on frustrating the smooth implementation of the current redesigned policy.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, yesterday Mr. President in his nationwide broadcast on the state of the nation, spoke on many issues, especially the recent policy introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria and Naira, swap. So many Nigerians really have been passing through a lot of things. Mr. President acknowledged, what they are passing, but he still feels that the policy is good for the economy. The policy is good for the country if implemented, though it comes with hardship. Remember now, before now, Mr. President has lamented that some banks' chief executive officers, have been sabotaging the efforts. So, during his nationwide broadcast, he directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to intensify collaboration with anti-corruption agencies like the EFCC, like the ICPC, even the DSS, to ensure that any institution or persons found to have impeded or sabotaged the policy, the Naira redesign policy, should bear the brunt or should be made to take the full work of the law. The president is serious with this policy, so he doesn't want any kind of sabotage. There have been some, accusations that some persons have been sabotaging the implementation of the policy. Some persons have diverted some of the money, sent to banks for the people. So they diverted them and sent to some politicians. So the president has given that direct order to all these anti-corruption agencies to go after those people found to be sabotaging the implementation of the policy.
All right, what was the reaction of those in the House yesterday?
For instance, remember that the members of the National Assembly ad hoc committee on currency swap, came to see the president, especially, it was led by the majority leader of the House of Representatives, Jigawa. When we confronted him, he came, to dialogue with the president on how to soften on the policy, but the visit and his committee, there were about 6 of them, came after Mr. President had made his brokers. So he was now saying that the CBN must make sure that all the directives given by Mr. President are implemented to the letter, and that they will not fail to invoke all the constitutional provisions to deal with the CBN if they fail to carry out all the implementation of the directives given by Mr. President.
Mr. President's speech and the reaction of the APC. Now, let's talk about the Supreme Court and all that. How is the speech going to affect the Supreme Court?
There have been controversy. The president is the commander-in-chief, but he is the head of the executive arm of government, and Supreme Court is within the purview of the judiciary. Some persons have contended that the judiciary, as an autonomous body, everybody is bound to its position. Remember, there was a ruling by on an interlocutory injunction by the Supreme Court for the government to suspend issuing deadline for the swapping of all the currency notes. But incidentally, the president, in his own wisdom, yesterday, said he has extended the deadline on only 200 Naira to serve as a legal tender to April 10. So some persons are saying, no, it is against the constitution of the land. Even when the leader of House of Representatives came today, he made it clear that the constitution makes it clear that during an election like this, every lawmaker in House of Representatives is entitled to spend 70 million Naira, and he's insisting that money should be in cash. And unfortunately, he doesn't have the cash. So the question now is that really everybody is supposed to be under the law. But the president, in his wisdom, knowing that some people are sabotaging the process, are sabotaging the implementation of the policy, decided to extend only 200 Naira to be served as a legal tender, while 500 notes and 1,000 notes have ceased to be recognized as legal tender in the country.
All right, Jawasco, lastly, let me ask you. I'm sure you've gone through the street of Abuja, and you've seen people collecting money. Tell us how is the circulation of the new currency, the 500 Naira note, 1,000 Naira note, and the 200 Naira note.
Well, it is very difficult. In Abuja here, I remember on Monday, somebody who was traveling to Delta State, precisely to Warri, and the transport company insisted that they will collect half of the money cash. The person had to buy 5,000 Naira, the person paid 6,200 Naira to get 500 Naira cash. For her to pay for transportation. It's very, very difficult situation. Sometimes in Abuja, if you are lucky, you pay 6,000 Naira to get 10,000